Hi. It's been a while since I've come online, but I thought I have some time this morning and I'd like to share a small exploration on bones. So I find through working with a lot of clients who are dealing with chronic tension, chronic pain, chronic anxiety, chronic fatigue, that we hold a lot of tension, and I mean tension, like visceral musculature tension, because we forget that we have our bones to support us. We kind of live in this really linear cognitive world and thinking that we have to control everything, and we are always getting from A to B, moving from A to B, achieving, accomplishing. So movement then becomes really two-dimensional, and that when we want to get from A to B, we're just thinking of perhaps just front to back. You know, when we're walking, most of the time we think that we're just moving front leg, back leg, front leg, back leg. But we forget that our bones and our joints are actually spiral. So if you look at our bones, it's spiral. It's a spiral surface. Our joint space, this is the hip joint, the acetabulum is the cup. And the femur head is a ball. So when we're walking, the femur head is actually spiraling within the cup. So movement is actually very much a three-dimensional activity. Our environment is actually three-dimensional, but we tend to get into this tunnel vision and thinking that we need to just do something, achieve something, control something. So we forget that the bones can actually support us through its sheer structure, spiralic structure, its sheer weightiness, it being the densest part of our body, that it can just be there. It is there. It's just there. We don't have to use our muscles to do everything. And when we use our muscles to do everything and we just kind of work in a very linear fashion, in a linear habitual way, because that's our thinking, the way we think, then the joint surfaces will tend to get wear and tear. You know, there's a lot of, I don't want to use the word trauma, but there's a lot of overworking of these joint surfaces. If we remember our bones and the fluids in our body, blood circulation, lymph, our fascia, our muscle needs to be hydrated, and our joint surfaces, synovial fluids, we then can move a little bit more intelligently, just really being guided through this support system. Okay, so let's do a little seated exploration, and then we go from there. So again, I want to highlight that the exploration that I'm doing is for my body, and this is a non-linear movement expression. So you can move any way that you feel that is arising for you. So you're not following the exact movement that I'm doing. I'm just guiding you through. and offering suggestions and inquiry. Okay. So let's take a moment to come into seated. And when we're in a seated position, right now I'm using the support of my leg bones, which is providing the foundation. So the weight of my bones, my legs, provides the foundation. And where the legs joint the pelvis in the ball and socket joint, I want to make sure that they are free to move. And in order for them to be free to move, I need to be on my sit bones. So the sit bones are here. Okay, this is a female pelvic floor, and it shows you also the pelvic floor muscles. So if we're on our sit bones, the pelvic floor muscles, they can relax and not have to work so hard and be all tensed up. But this tendency that we kind of sit in a hunch position or like this, where we don't have the support of our core to land on our sit bones, then we get into this hunch. And then the ligaments in the spine, the muscles along the spine tends to then get really stressed in trying to support us in this position. Also, when we're slouching, there is no freedom. I'm stuck. I can't respond. Well, there's also the other way, the other polarity, which happens a lot when our parents tell us to stick our chest out and sit straight and, just be really stiff. So we'll do this. And here, there's what has happened, what has come in is the muscle tense. So it's a really high tone and rigidity through our muscles, and we forget that we have bones to support us. So this end, where there is muscles have switched off, and then bones and ligaments are going into full all the work, and then here in which bones switch off and muscles have to do everything. Can we find this symbiotic relationship in which we're on the sit bones? The muscles and bones, they know their role. Muscles for support, bones for support, and muscles help us respond. Stability, mobility. Stick it over here to just find that. And then you can try and play around a little bit. Notice that here I'm really allowing this fluidity to move through the body. Even though I'm in a seated position, I'm free. I'm free to respond. I'm free to turn and move and interact with my environment. My head is not jutting forward. I'm not stressed. I am just dialoguing. My bones tell me through the ligaments where I am in space, what is my range of motion. And then I find the joint spaces through this spiral structure of the bones. So if I were to initiate movement from my wrist, I let the movement ripple through the elbow and to the shoulder joint, and maybe to the shoulder blade. And try the other side. Maybe now I'm going to actually initiate movement from my shoulder blade first, and then move through the articular shoulder joint, elbow, and wrist. And notice I'm still on my sit bones. Now, if I find my sternum, do you know we hold so much tension across our chest because we are constantly in stress response, our breath becomes really shallow. So if we can find our sternum, this bone that joins the collarbone to the ribs, and the end of the sternum is called the xiphoid process. It's like a little tail. And then I'm going to move and articulate this bone. Initiate movement, and then the muscle starts to dialogue and be guided by this fluid bone. And do you know that bones itself is not just all solid? Bones have marrow inside, bones have porous. And bones are not really straight. They're spirals. So through the sternum, I can find my ribs and spaces between the ribs. And inside this rib basket, there are our lungs, our heart. So if we create a spaciousness through this structure of the rib basket, our lungs and heart work more in resonance with our diaphragm. Diaphragm sits here. So notice I have done quite a lot of movement and I'm still on my sit bones. I'm still in a seated position. So maybe I will use the weight of my bones to change the orientation. And now I'm in contact with the floor more, through my leg bones and my hands, through my arm bones. I can find the rebound of the bones. And through the rebound, maybe I can even come into some fun balancing movement. And that I explore the spiral shape of my bone. Bring this fell out. I explore the spiral shape of my leg bones now. Can find this fluid gliding and sliding. So my muscles are really being guided. Through the quality of my bones. And if I go into my spine, Spine is like a snake and it's really sporadic. If I really want to just find the support of my spine, and through the support I move into the vertebrae, the disc spaces. And feel sense into how many ways can I articulate through my spine. And see how the spine now drives my pelvis, my head, my legs, my arms. Can explore my head, cranium, skull. We carry our head around like a real baggage. But what if the head can float? Because it's supported through our spine, pelvis, legs, and hands is an expression of the center, the central structure. And it's dialoguing with gravity space. All movements are in spirals. I can even learn to fall. Learning how to fall is integral, especially as we get older. And because the bones are in spiral shape, it allows us to spin. Getting back to the sense of playfulness, curiosity, and not really having any rules, but just allowing this different parts of the body to inform us. So we work with bones, we can work with blood flow, we can work with the muscles, we can work with the organs. The thing is that this body is such a treasure trove of intelligence, and it's really calling forth our awareness and our attention. So I hope you enjoy this little exploration.